Hi guys and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got two replays in the Chinese Tier 10 Premium Medium tank, the 121B. Now this is a tank that I don't think is the best Tier 10 in the world, but I've actually been really enjoying playing myself. I think it's fairly solid. I think the gun is an absolute standout performer of this tank, and the reload's not too bad. The armour on it, on the turret, is pretty decent, but it can be overmatched on top, or just pending the cupolas and stuff, and that can nullify it, as well as the fact that if you put a very good, well-aimed shot into where the gun is, or it's the coaxial machine gun really, on the turret, it can get penned by things with like 270 pen. If it hits it directly next to the gun, it's a bit of a pain in the back when people do that. The upper plate armour is bouncy. It's not exactly the best, but it is bouncy when it's angled. So on the whole, as a whole package, this tank isn't actually that bad. Like I say, is it the tank that you should be going out and blowing 450,000 free XP on? No, wait till it's on discount. And I'll always say about every premium, really. Wait till it's on discount, get it in. Because if you get this thing on the discounts that they normally do, and it's like 330,000, it's definitely more worth a pickup. But is it worth a pickup over stuff like the Valor, the M60, the Chi-Lin, you know, tanks like that? If you haven't got those tanks, then no, don't pick this tank up yet. But is it as bad as a T22 medium? No. It's way better than that. Is it better than a 907? I think it's probably a little bit better than a 907 myself. I do prefer this tank to that tank, but then it's got 390 Alpha. And the 390 Alpha fits me and my playstyle far more than the 320 Alpha of the Russian 100mm. But yeah, it's a tank that I have been really enjoying. And in terms of equipment, you know, I run like Armour, the powertrain, and optics. I actually run the powertrain because there is one thing that is quite weak about the tank, and that is its mobility. And that is that it was pretty sluggish to get to its top speed, and it's not the quickest in the universe. So I put the powertrain on, which gave me that extra like 2.5 kilometers an hour, because that's just the way that the powertrain works. 5% extra speed boost is what it gives you, and this has got 50 km an hour top speed, so it's 2.5 kilometers an hour on top of what you normally do. But the 5% extra horsepower is exactly what this tank needs, just to be able to get about a bit better, and that just makes it a little bit more bearable. And to be honest, it's made the tank just generally more enjoyable for me. But like I say, the reload and the gun is what is fantastic on this tank. And we're on this first match, and we're on El Haluf, and we have pushed very aggressively onto this heavy tank corner. I'm just trying to avoid the shots from the VK there. We get a nice shot through his drive wheel there to track him in place. Oh, the FE4005 plants a massive shot through him there, which is juicy, gives us all the tracking assist. We ended up getting penned as well when we went round the corner by that waffle, which I think has the big gun possibly. Now he's on the run, it's like, well, I'll just pop a shot on the move. Obviously this is nothing new to 6.0, right? Tanks are really good at shooting on the move, but the one thing that I have felt with this tank is that it is damn good at it. I said the gun's just, it's like ridiculously good, and I say it's nothing new to 6.0, because a lot of tanks have ridiculously good guns. But this reload as well is just really nice. The thing is it different enough from the Tech Tree 121 to be worth playing? Yeah, I think it is. I think the armour is definitely better on this tank than the 121. It's got like 10mm extra armour on the frontal plate. The gun is definitely far nicer than the 121's gun, which isn't that troll anymore, but it's definitely nicer. The DPM, I think is better, but not by much. And then it comes down to whether you want the 122 or the 105. Now the 122mm with the 440 Alpha is definitely nice, right? It slaps hard. But the shell velocity on this APCR as well, that you don't get with the 121's AP, helps this tank a lot. And generally, yeah, it's definitely what helps me enjoy it more than I do the actual 121, but the 121 does slap. So now we're going to push these guys in their base. There's only 3 guys left. There's this 430 version 2 that Randy's pushing here. I'm going to try and push along to get a shot at him, get a nice shot in to finish him off. We managed to dodge that griller when we were moving in. That was a risky moment where he could have shut us down quite easily. But now we're going to try and push him to get a shot. He's fired, which means I know that I can move in. Unfortunately, we missed the shot on the back of the T49. And we're just going to see if we can boost our reload with food and get another shot in, but we can't quite do that. We're just going to go... I want to go round on the Griller, right? But the Griller could finish me off quite easily in one shot. I've loaded HE for the Griller, which, by the way, is actually HEP. It's got 105 pen, which is really good compared to a lot of HE at the tier, which is like 68 pen. Oh, Randy got done by the arty there. You just saw that shell whizzing and then the big explosion. Anyway, yeah. So, really, on this light tank, that HE would have been really good. But when I actually shot at the T49, it would have been better to have the APCR in because I really did need the shell velocity. But yeah, the HE rounds on this tank are definitely usable against lightly armoured tanks for 105 pen. That's really good. So, there's only one tank left. There's the artillery. We know exactly where the artillery is, right? Because he dunked on Randy. So we're just going to go pressure it, hopefully get some damage into him. And there he is, trying to see if we can get the shot in. I'm hoping that he doesn't run down and shotgun me. He's on the run. We're going to see if we can get the shot in while he's in midair. We got one in while he's in midair. It would have been great if we'd like had HE in and blown him up first time. He's going to try and shotgun us, but fortunately enough for me, he hits the floor. That could have ended up so badly for us then. But luckily enough for me, he hits the floor and we finished the game. Got the victory. We come top of the team. 5 kills, 5k damage, 2k assist, ace tanker, 1632 base XP. And that's probably a testament to how little the tanks played. That 6k combined, no, it's 7k combined. We're going to get, quick maths is going to get it right this time. Nearly 7k combined for a tier 10 medium tank is actually an ace. With 1600 base, usually you need to get like 1900 XP to base XP, sorry, to get that sort of game for an ace tanker. So we're on to the second game, and this time we're on one of the new maps, which is Mannheim, or Mannheim. It's Mannheim. I keep thinking of Mannheim Line, which is the PC version of Siegfried Line. Well, it's the PC named version of Siegfried Line anyway. So it's Mannheim. And it's a map that I just detest. I don't like this map whatsoever. It's like the other Cold War maps I don't mind all that much, right? Although I really wish we didn't have them in World War II mode because they're just generally too big. Like I've been playing quite a lot of tanks that like, you know, under 40 kilometers an hour in top speed, and they're absolutely abhorrent to play on those maps because you just don't get anywhere. You'd probably drive for about 3 minutes, 4 minutes before you even see the action, and then the action happens, and you just... Well, most of the time, by the time you got there, it's all over. And the enemy team's dead, or you're dead. That's just the way it is. So, I mean, when I saw the stream on Friday, and Pain God said that they could quite easily take these maps out of the rotation for World War II, gave me a bit of hope, because I really do hope that once we get... I think for now, while we've got the maps rotation, generally, I'm trying to think of the best way of putting it. Right now, with the map rotation we've got, I would prefer to keep these in until we get the new maps that they've confirmed are coming up in the next update in like, what is it, 2 or 3 weeks, 3 or 4 weeks, whenever they said the next update might be, which I think they said end of June. I'd rather keep them in till then, purely because the map rotation is horrible, right, and these maps do alleviate that little bit, even if they're absolutely horrendous to play in World War II. But as soon as we get those new maps, which I think they announced that it was going to be like Overlord, Westfield, and El Alamein, right? Once we get those new maps back, remove these maps from World War II, because they're absolutely horrible to play. And like this map, I absolutely hate it. I just think this is a dreadful map. But I don't know what you guys think about it. I mean, tell me in the comments what you think. Whether you love these maps and would rather they just kept them in World War II no matter what, or whether you'd just be happy for them to chop them and never see them again in the World War II mode. Yeah, you tell me. That's just my preference on it anyway. Like, I'm not forcing that on any of you. Like, my preference on it is I'd just rather that they kept these in until we got the new maps in the next update, and then once they released the reworked maps, not really new, the reworked maps, get rid of these out of the rotation, because they're just painful to play for a lot of tanks, and it affects the games far too much. So anyway, we're on this map anyway, in the 121B, and the 121B is decent at side scraping. As you saw, I just bounced the griller there, and I was thinking, okay, I was going to move up to the next line of cover, but that griller was starting to move up, and it was like, okay, that's not good. As we've decided to move up again, this 268 version 5 appears, and it's like, oh, hell nah. he actually ends up firing into the pillar, because the thing we did there was, as soon as we saw him, we knew what we had to do. We had to angle into the cover to hopefully, well, you know, hope that he'd miss us. He's coming back for another shot. We're doing it again. Angle into a new bit of cover. Try and bait a shot so he'd bounce it, but he just pens us. I mean, he's shooting down. He'd probably end up hitting the top of our turret, and that is how he penned us. I mean, he's got 303 pen anyway. The 268 version 5's base pen is just ridiculous. But now we don't have to worry about him. We're going to go push in on this 268 version 4, which is a rare tank to see. You see the 268 version 5s all the time, but not the 268 version 4s. And we're going to try and get round on this guy and flank round, because I'm expecting him to be facing our 2 heavy tanks, which means I'm just going to get a free farm into the back of this guy, which is exactly what's happening. We've got some nice shots into him. He's pushed our friends. I'm thinking, right, let's get the tracks in on this guy, hopefully get some assistance. We ended up penning and tracking him. We're going to angle ourselves round so that we can do it again, but he's managed to get it repaired because he must have a good crew, and he gets shut down. But, I mean, we've pretty much crushed this flank, and we've met 4 tanks? I think we've met 4 or 5 tanks, and most of my team went this way, but pretty much all their team's gone the other way. And this is, I mean, it's nothing new, right, in World of Tanks. Lemon trains one way, lemon trains the other. But it happens a lot on these maps, a heck of a lot. And that is one of the reasons why it's just, why they're not that good for this mode, because if you're a slow tank, right, and you go round, and the enemy goes on the other flank, there's just no hope of you ever getting back. And the amount of times these games have ended in caps is ridiculous. So we get a nice shot snapped in on the ISM there as we were on the move. I'm pretty confident about the cap getting reset, which it has been already, by the medium tank and the light tank. So I'm thinking, you know what, we're just going to farm up this poor little ISM. We unfortunately ricochet off his upper plate there. He's pulling back. I'm hoping maybe I'll get the pen in here. We do. We could possibly finish him off, so we're hanging about to see if we can do that. He ends up getting shot by someone else, and unfortunately the shot ricochets. But I'm not going to hang around anymore. I'm going to go back and push for the cap, because obviously we want to try and reset it. And something that's happened here is that, although a lot of their team were pushing towards our cap, a lot of them have actually gone back to defend their cap. So we're on our way to try and help alleviate the pressure on the base. But there's actually now me, a TD, a light tank and a medium tank, and probably attacking one tank that's sitting in the cap. But obviously defending the cap is one of the main things you can do. It's a UDES 1516, so we're going to try and push him to get as much damage out of it as possible. I mean, the Leopard 1 isn't that healthy, the Gorilla is healthy. This was back when the bug for last spotted tanks was still in. So like that light tank, enemy light tank over there is actually dead, he's not spotted. We get a nice shot through the UDES there. He's trying to bully this light tank, trying to track him in place, which is exactly what we do. He's repaired it though, and he gets shut down. We're swiveling round for the anticipation that that guy was going to get finished off, and there's now only 5 tanks left. And they've all gone back to their base, so we're just going to go charging towards them and hope that we can get there, really. Which, I mean, we're in a pretty decently mobile tank, especially with the powertrain involved in this thing. I mean, on a flat, the acceleration is definitely a lot slower without the powertrain. And it's something you definitely noticed when I put the equipment on. It was like, oh, actually, this tank it's just noticeably a little bit faster now, which is nice. And that's where the powertrain can be beneficial. The traction system is only really good on tanks that have a good power to weight and have good engine power, because otherwise it's just a waste. Because what's the point in giving it, say a tank, the AMX-40, that's the best way to put it. The AMX-40, the Duck tank. The Duck goes at 60 km. Well, the Duck has a 60 km/h top speed, but it will never reach it. Never in a million years, because it's got terrible power to weight. So, putting the traction system, I can't remember which way around it goes. I'm pretty sure it's the traction system that has 10% extra top speed. If you put that on the Duck, it will go at 66 km/h top speed, right? But what's the point in that? Because it never reaches 60 anyway. You want to put the powertrain on, for example, to be able to help it get towards the top speed a little bit quicker, or just to be able to buff up how quick it can go. And that's the same for a lot of tanks. So the powertrain is the one that's more likely to be used on any tank rather than the traction system. But that's my thinking on it anyway. So, there was that Huntsman. There's this heavy tank down here now that we're going to get a shot into. We break his engine as well. We left the Huntsman because he was on low health, and it was like, you know what? My people like the Griller are going to get there first. I'm not going to get there to get the kill on that guy. So I'm just going to go for the heavy tank and the TD that was spotted this way. And in fact, we get a spot on the Charioteer. Unfortunately, we hit the dirt in front of the Charioteer. He pens us. And I'm thinking, you know what? I'm just going to ignore this guy because he's just going to make it awkward. I want to go push as much damage as I can on the M103 that's ahead of us, because he's where most of the damage is. He's where I'm most likely to get more damage. I'm keeping my gun pointed towards the Charioteer in case he poked up so I could get a shot at him. But now we're coming across this M103 who is just behind the buildings. And he's still probably a 2-shot for us. Yeah, he's well, actually he's a 3-shot for us. We get a nice shot through his side. He's in a really awkward position. We're going to try and side scrape him out, and we finish him off. Now there's just the Charioteer left. We're going to go chase after him. Now, he was obviously spotted up on the hill at H3, so I'm thinking the possibility is he's either still there, or he's trying to fall back to somewhere else further back. 'Cause obviously, it's like the net's closing on him. That's what it's like at the minute. We've got a heavy tank at J5. We've got us 3 that are coming in from this way. So there's basically no escape for him without getting spotted. So he's going to be trapped in this corner. Now, obviously, he could actually loop round and get down the K-line without getting spotted because there's the outcrop on the left-hand side of that heavy. But he's done for. He's trapped in this corner. And as I was saying, he ends up getting spotted towards his cap. So we're going to try and come over the top and get a nice shot into him. And just as we come over, we get a nice shot in there. The artillery ends up missing him, so I know that I've got the free reign here because there's only really the light tank that could possibly get a shot at him. We get another shot in, and the Manticore finishes him off. But we finished that game with a very nice total on not a very good map, and come top, and we get 2 kills, 8k damage, 1400 base XP, and 95 assistance. Now for 8k, that was only a first class and a Confederate with a high caliber. Differences, I don't know between this and the last game. We shot quite a few lower tiers as well. We did shoot quite a few higher tiers, I just don't get it. So as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.
A great success!